The Access to Capital educational series, The Fundamentals of Startup Financing, is made possible by the generous financial support of the Truist Foundation. Access to Capital is an educational program of Verge and its affiliates, RAMP, the Regional Accelerator, Roanoke-Blacksburg Technology Council, and its partners, the Launch Place, the Appalachian Council for Innovation, and Blue Ridge PBS.
Thank you, Alex, for being with us today as we talk about different types of capital for entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, we're going to start off with, being in the biotech sector, the runway to get off the ground and going is longer than some other sectors. So just talk about how you got started, what type of capital you went after first to get Site of Recovery off the ground.
Yeah, it's a much longer pathway. So in the beginning, we actually were working really closely with Virginia Tech and UVA. We have technologies from both universities. So a lot of our initial capital was working really closely with those research teams to begin developing the product out of the laboratory and into a commercial space, and working with their IP teams to make sure we could get all the licensing in place. So in the beginning, when it was just me, we were working really closely at both universities and working out of those labs to start.
Great. So did you go directly from an early stage C round into a Series A, or was there something in between?
Yeah, so once we were established with the universities, we actually did our formal series where we did a true seed round. And that seed round allowed us to get a little bit of space going and get off the ground ourselves. But in terms of developing our lab, we ran into COVID. So during COVID, it was quite a challenge. We were running into a lot of delays. Our customers' laboratories were closed. Yeah. So we actually ended up doing a bridge round. So we took some time. We didn't feel like our product or our customer pipeline was ready for a Series A, but we needed more capital to keep the product development moving. So from that seed money, as well as our bridge round, we were able to develop our beta prototypes and alphas and really get the commercial product developed. And then we felt more confident to begin heading into the Series A. But I would say there was one more step in that process. So it was never a linear path for us. We did the seed, we did the bridge, and then we felt like beyond our product being ready, we needed to develop our business model. So we actually went through RAMP and developed our business model during that time. And then we really felt like we could enter a Series A.
Great. How did RAMP prepare you to be ready to go into the Series A round? Through mentorship and the programming, what elements really stood out for you?
Yeah, I think something that was really important for me, I'm an engineer and a scientist by training, so what RAMP was really teaching was how to communicate our science and technology that's really exciting and innovative, and then really turn that into a business model and something that investors can understand, because most of them are not technical. So really being able to have the right foundation and the right terminology and the best way to pitch our product to investors became really important. And again, how to talk about our market and our fit and everything. That was how we really developed our customer pipeline and our value proposition during that time.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. A lot of companies we see that go through RAMP, and RAMP is under our Verge portfolio. A big number are more on the technical side. So we see a lot of scientists and technologists coming through who haven't taken as many business courses and don't have that background. So I do think that's a really important element for our companies.
Yeah, it's really, I could talk about the science all day long. I could tell you all the cool things for my technology, the details of the physics and the engineering, but being able to actually explain that to an investor and why it's going to be important to invest in the platform and its medical implications and its future potential for research was a huge hurdle to understand how to do that communication. And again, just learning the terminology of knowing your market sector, knowing your available markets, knowing what beachhead you're going after, and really being able to pinpoint and focus your argument for when you're going to head for a Series A becomes really important. The other thing that was hugely important is you don't realize how much goes into the business element. You better have your lawyers and your bank already lined up, because when you're going to start influxing potentially hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars into your company, those elements are so important to have good relationships. And RAMP brought in a lot of those types of connections so that we could understand okay, I need to have this type of lawyer because I'm a corporation and I'm going to do this type of fundraising, so that you can make sure you have all of that ready to go.
Yeah, that's a great point. There's so many elements that go into launching a business and making sure from the R&D side through the business side, getting it off the ground. As you went through your bridge phase and then through ramp and you're ready for your Series A, let us understand a little bit more about going into your Series A, what that looked like for Cyto Recovery.
Yeah, so for us, now we have a product and we feel like we have our customer pipeline in place. One of the biggest elements was actually producing the inventory, right? So now I've got to actually have the product to hand to customers. And as you mentioned in life sciences, that can be a pretty big investment, or that can be a pretty long amount of time to actually produce your product and have it commercial ready. So heading into our Series A, that was one of our big focus points, was making sure that we had the product and we were ready to start placing it with customers. I would say the number one question we got as we headed into our Series A was, who are your customers? Who's paying for this, right? And we had several in the pipeline, but I had to actually produce the product and get that ready to go. So heading into our Series A, that was a huge focus for us. And then with our Series A, our goal, because it is a life science company, we wanted to build plenty of runway. So we wanted to have at least 24 months that we were building into our Series A, so that if we could continue to not make a single dollar, we could function and move the company along. So that's not typical. Sometimes you want to try to aim maybe 6 months at a time or a year at a time, ideally multiple years. And for us, it was really important to raise enough to have runway to give us that time, because it just does move slower. Unfortunately, biology doesn't live on my timeline. It lives on its own timeline. So for us, it takes a little bit more planning and a little bit more runway time to feel like we could get there and deliver for our investors.
Yeah. How, as you know, on the scientific side, sometimes it's hard to translate to people who aren't in your arena, how to understand your science and your company. How do you de-risk when you're pitching to a funder? How do you go into that to de-risk it and help them to understand your science? And
yeah, I think that's a really good point, because the science can be something that is maybe, again, not there every day, and they may not understand all the details of the technical. A big approach we take at our company is to just be as open and honest with our potential investors. If something is not on time, we're very honest about that, and we explain why it's not on time. So if something's running behind schedule that might make an investor nervous, or okay, you said you were securing a customer, what happened? You know, we're very open and honest in that process to make sure they understand that, you know, we are still on a pretty good path here, things are going to be okay. The other big thing that we do to help kind of communicate and understand with our potential investor pool is really making sure that we have built a resource team around us that if we're not meeting the mark, they can go talk to. So our previous investors, or again, Ramp, someone that can say, trust us, like Cyto knows what it's doing, and you've really built that community that will support you and prove out that the science is not the only element here. You know, the business model is also developed.
Great, great. If you were going into another round of funding or looking back on what you've done in the past, what would you do differently, and what advice would you give our entrepreneurs who are at a similar stage?
I think there's a couple things. The first one is always start earlier than you think. I think that's probably true of a lot of things we do. Produce sooner, build your inventory sooner, fundraise sooner. Even if you think you have 6 months runway, you never know what's going to happen. All of a sudden, you know, we got in a really fortunate situation where we had 3 customers basically ready, and we're like, bring it to us, we're ready. And that's a lot of infrastructure you have to have in place. So for us, that meant being really ready to scale up, right? We've hired really quickly. We've quadrupled in size. And so, but did I think I was going to do that a year ago? Probably not. So I think just earlier is always better. If you think you're going to need a resource, or you think you're going to need another team member, start now and start your fundraising now, because the lawyers will tell you it's going to close on this date. It's never that date. So just be ready to move as quickly as possible. The other thing I would say, and I think this is just a point for the life science groups especially, it's not in everyone's portfolio to do biotech or life science investments, and it's not personal. Some companies and some venture groups and some of the investment arms, that's just not their play. They're more interested in software, or they're more interested in an application, or they might just have a different focus for their investment. And again, it's not personal. Not everyone's in it for the longer term process.
I think that's a great point. How did you find the right type of funders for life science, biotech. How did you navigate?
Yeah, I
finding 'em?
think having a lot of our connections in the Commonwealth really helped, right? So once we had a connection, so once we were connected with one venture group or this venture group in the state, they're all very close and connected to each other. And they can say, oh, well, this other group's probably interested, or they've also, they've got a round coming up to pitch to them. And I think that community within the Commonwealth has been incredibly supportive. And again, not all of them are going to do life science, but once they all kind of get involved, you can often bring them together and get them in together, and that really helps. Most of our investment has actually come from the Commonwealth in Maryland, so we've been a very regionally supported entity, which has been really nice.
That's great to hear. Through VIPC, Virginia Innovation Partnership Corporation, and other angel funders in the state, I think that we're getting to a place where Virginia is really stepping up and being a great partner for capital.
Yeah, we've been really fortunate, and we're really excited since we do have technologies from both universities. Keeping the company in the Commonwealth and supporting the Commonwealth, since they have supported us, is something we're really excited to be able to do.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Alex, for being with us and sharing your advice for other entrepreneurs. We really appreciate your time.
Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.